So I am God, because a few minutes ago, something just dropped. And I want you guys to look at it with me and like revel in the fact that whenever I hyperfixate on something or talk about something, I manifest it into reality. So I've struck yet again, because one of my favorite things in the universe has come out from the grave after about, what, 10 years? 12? Homestuck is getting an animated show pilot.
Hi, I'm John Egbert, and I tell you about my rock opera that's totally like, oh my god, Dave, what the fuck are you doing on the ground writhing in pain? Nothing.
I am God. I have literally been talking about Homestuck for a few days because of Deltarune, right? Because of Toby, because he did the music for Homestuck. And whenever I hyperfixate on anything, I kind of like manifest it into reality, right? But so far we've seen this. This is like a little poster dropped for the animated pilot. They've adapted the art style from the comic pretty well. It looks really, really cute. I personally have my doubts as to seeing if Homestuck can be adapted into an animated medium, because a big part of what made the comic so unique was the interactive element. Homestuck wasn't just a thing you could read things, it was a game and music and flash animations, and like, it wasn't something that I ever thought would be able to be adapted into film or TV because it's such a convoluted way to tell a story, and it was the internet's webcomic. So let me try and break it down for those of you guys in the audience who are not Homestuck trash. Homestuck is a webcomic about 4 kids that play a video game that ends the world. That is about as easy as I can break down this story without either spoiling everything for you guys or getting into meta bullshit, because Homestuck has a lot of shit. It's an incredibly fun webcomic with great humor. Toby Fox got his start making music for the comic, fun fact. I'm guessing we're gonna hear a lot of his leitmotifs in the animation, if any. I don't know if he's going to be working on this. Part of me kind of hopes he does, and part of me kind of hopes he doesn't. But Andrew is involved because he wrote the thing. With that being said, and that like little explanation, let's watch the trailer. And yeah, spoiler alert, it's the same studio that does Hazbin Hotel. But we'll talk about that in a sec. Let's watch the trailer first.
Happy birthday, bro! Did the beta come yet?
I think it arrived, but my dad probably has it. I've been trying to avoid him, as you can well imagine.
John, you're not wearing one of your silly disguises.
We are using the comic's actual art style. We're not like adapting it at all, which is great. Part of what made Homestuck so fun was the incredibly simple but very unhinged art style.
Look in the sky, numbnuts!
What's that?
It looks well animated, very well animated, and it looks like it's gonna be a fun time. But it's really funny to see how they've animated this, right? Because Homestuck is one of those cases where the art style is so simple, chat, that the best way to work with it is to over-animate it. I don't know if anybody has been catching a new anime called City the Animation. Wait, play a clip.
Cheeseburger.
But not too much so we don't get ganged. It's a show with an incredibly simple art style, but it's animated so fucking well. And I think with Homestuck, that's the best way to do it. Like, it's so ridiculous. So well animated, but so simple. Mob Psycho 100 did the same thing. And that's kind of what you have to do, is you have to make things that have a simple art style be really well animated. So Homestuck, so far, looks pretty well animated to me. Carcat, why are you aura farming? Carcat! Oh, ganked. Needless to say, I'm stoked about this. However, I have some thoughts. Mainly because of how the comic is made. I have to wonder if it's going to actually animate and if the writing is going to be able to handle it. I don't know if you guys know this about Homestuck, but it's one of the longest literally works in the world. I don't think it's the longest one, but it's hefty, very, very hefty. It has like, what, 10 volumes or more? And that's only the printed works, which don't have the games. Like, I'm very excited, and I hope that this pilot does get picked up, but like, I'm concerned as to how they're going to adapt it. So like, the reason why Homestuck is such a special project, and it's very near and dear to my heart, that's kind of how I got my artistic start. Fun fact, I used to draw a lot of Homestuck banner of the safe for work variety, is because the comic was the internet's comic. It was written by Andrew Hussie, but it was a collaborative work of hundreds of people, artists, musicians, game developers. It broke the internet on more than one occasion. It was one of the biggest things to come out of the internet ever. And the thing that made it so fun was how interactive it was. And with an animated show for Homestuck, I have to wonder how much of the screenplay they had to adapt to cut out a lot of babble. A lot. There was so much babble in the comic. I don't lie to people when they ask me if they should read Homestuck. I tell them, do you have patience? Because if you don't, Don't read it. It's a very slow start, but it picks up and it's super fucking fun. And it's something you can't replicate on a TV show because they also fucked with the website to tell the story better. They fucked with Flash. They opened up screens, like did programming for it. It was kind of insane. It was.
So apparently Toby Fox will be the voice of John Egbert.
Somehow I can see that perfectly.
How is that possible? Who's the father?
Speaking of Hazbin, a lot of people are concerned because of Vivienne Medrano's involvement. Now, I've seen some of Hazbin Hotel, and while I personally don't love the excessive swearing and the way that the show tackles its writing at times, it's a very good production. Like, the animation is very nice, very smooth, very fun. People might have a lot of gripes with Vivzy Pop. I personally don't have a ton to say about her. I've seen the way that she handles criticism, which is in a way pretty unprofessional if you ask me. But here's the thing, someone in chat just pointed out, Hussie is the more controversial figure. Can you explain to me, without spoiling the webcomic, why the Homestuck fandom is so infamous? Oh boy, okay. And I have to say this, like, full disclaimer things. I am a Homestuck fan. I was a Homestuck fan. And I was a Homestuck fan in its heyday. I painted myself great, not with Sharpie. I was at the conventions. I was there, mama. I lived this fucking chaotic experience. I got all of my friends into it. I was just talking to them about this a while back. The reason why the Homestuck fandom is so infamous is the same reason that the Undertale fandom is so infamous. Something in Homestuck struck a chord with a ridiculous amount of people, and the way that the story was written and told and experienced resonated with so many. So many. It's a ridiculous experience. I'm a war vet. I've been there. I'm having flashbacks to the fucking gray paint. Christ on a bike. 2 hours to put on a cosplay. The thing that made Homestuck such a fucking sensation is that there had never been a webcomic quite like it. And I don't think there has been anything like it since. Because of how many factors and people and creatives were involved in the production, and there were so many characters, and they were all so likable and so fun and so unique in their own ways. Like, the comic had a slow start. It exploded around Act 5, which is when the trolls were introduced. I can't say more than that. But when it exploded, the comic was well on its way to becoming an online sensation. And the story was pretty good. A bit pretentious, but pretty good. A fun experience. So with all of this being said, some of you in chat might be wondering, oh fuck, where can I go read this thing? Well, about that. If you go into the Homestuck website, into mspaintadventures.com or homestuck.com, yeah, the website has been shut down as of earlier this year. So you might be panicking a little bit and be like, why the fuck is the website shut down? Simple, because Flash is not supported anymore. So now you can still read the text, but you can't see the images anymore. It's completely borked. You might think that it's impossible to read this comic. It's actually not, but this is when we're gonna get to the other meat and potatoes of tonight's story, because while a lot of people are stoked about the animation, other people, myself included, are kind of fucking pissed, because the only other resource people had to read Homestuck was a little thing called the Unofficial Homestuck Collection, which was basically an application that you could launch on your computer, which I have, and you could read the comic there with the full Flash animations. And unfortunately, for reasons that are not quite clear yet, although the people have tried to explain, the Unofficial Homestuck Collection got taken down today by none other than Andrew Hussie himself. The creator of Homestuck went out of his way to nuke the only way to read his comic. This is a gigantic thing to get into. I read most of this, but essentially what happened was, when they first launched this collection, Andrew was stoked. He endorsed it, his team endorsed it. He was like, this is the best way to read Homestuck because sadly, the website is in shambles. It no longer works, it's no longer supported. So Andrew Hussie initially endorsed this. And then after a while, it seems like Andrew demanded control of the project. And the creator of the project, a little user known as Geo, who is the one who wrote this blog, said, no. You promised that you would let us work on this as a fan-created thing. Why are you trying to change your mind? Andrew Hussie, he has his own share of controversy with Homestuck. I know most of it, sadly, because I was around when all of it happened. And there were some exposés made that he did not react well to. And in reading that blog that Geo posted, it turns out that they have beef. Because Geo had been critical of Hussie in the past, because here's a little known thing about Andrew Hussie. how can I say this nicely? Well, there is no nice way to say this. He's absolutely shit at managing his fucking projects. Garbage. Andrew Hussie managed to squander $2 million on the Kickstarter backing for Hiveswap. Instead of waiting for Homestuck the comic to finish, he put the webcomic on a 9-month hiatus, which allowed the comic to sink into fucking irrelevancy while he worked on a video game. And in that time, the studio that he fucking hired to make the video game ran off with the money for the video game, with most of it. And in what I can only assume was negligence for not checking in with the Odd Gentleman, that's the name of the studio, and making sure that they were working on the game, by the time he noticed and sued them, 2/3 of the budget were gone. Now at this point, he went and he formed Webcomic Studios. They wanted to make Hiveswap in-house. Awesome, right? Yeah? We got part 1 of Hiveswap. It was amazing. It was super fun. I highly recommend playing it. It's still on Steam. And then he sold the fucking... Hi everybody, Future Lily here. So in regard to Hiveswap, I believe Andrew Hussie left Webcomic Studios. I don't know if he actually sold it. This might have been something I saw a long time ago, back when it all went down. But he left Webcomic Studios for sure. And then Act 2 actually did come out as well. That's one that I personally have not played. But the only thing is that the game is unfinished. It should have had an Act 3, I believe, at least. And that one we have not had any updates for in about 3 or 4 years. So yeah, just to clarify, I'm not entirely sure if Andrew sold Webcomic Studios. I do know for a fact that he left. And Hiveswap did have an Act 1 and an Act 2, but it is currently still unfinished. And not to mention, he did finish Homestuck, by the way. He finished it, but he finished it with so many loose ends. And he made a Homestuck 2, which tried to fucking tie some loose ends together, but like it just fizzled out because after 9 months of no updates, well, no shit, people lost interest. So Andrew, I would say, has a history of managing his projects like shit. And I'm guessing that part of the reason as to why Geo was so reluctant to let Andrew have control of the unofficial Homestuck collection was because of this. Because look at his website! Look at it! This is the website Andrew managed. This is one of the biggest webcomics on the internet and you can't even read it. So yeah! Andrew and Geo had a beef because Geo had actually criticized Andrew on how he managed the Kickstarter, how he managed Hiveswap, and how he managed the end of Homestuck. There was a video a while back by Zara Z, who basically broke down everything that happened. Highly recommend watching, by the way. Andrew tried to sue her over it. Andrew Hussie tried to sue someone who broke down what the fuck happened with the webcomic because they were critical of him. It's amazing and a great video. Yeah, and that was years ago. Apparently one of the things that the Homestuck asked Geo to do, besides giving them full control of the project, was to denounce that video, even though Geo agreed with her. Geo initially was very surprised that Andrew was endorsing the collection because they had beef. And he was very reluctant, but he was like, you know what? It's work. I will work with Andrew to make sure that this gets updated. And initially, Andrew was like, yeah, I love the unofficial Homestuck collection. Go read it here. You guys can do whatever you want, so long as you guys don't sell anything. Keep in mind, this was just for preservation. The unofficial Homestuck collection is a project made for preservation of the media. But I will say this. Right now, I am taking what Geo is saying with a pretty fucking chunky grain of salt. All of these are allegations and claims. Andrew Hussie has said nothing, and I have not seen any solid evidence to prove any of this is true. Now, I personally am speculating whether or not this has anything to do with the fact that we have an animated pilot coming out, or if this is just Andrew, as usual, being shit at managing shit. Thankfully, the Homestuck community is not letting Andrew nuking this slide. They are spreading the fucking project far and wide. I can actually point you guys to resources to get it yourself because I want everybody to fucking have a copy of Homestuck on their computer. Seriously, it's a part of internet history. No one wants it to become lost media. And yeah, while most of this is speculation, and we still don't know what Andrew's thinking about all this, most people believe Geo, and I kinda do too up to a point because why would you nuke your own site like that? And I will say this, and this is me just being a little bit Mexican keto chisme, Vivian Medrano and Andrew Hussie in the same room is an ego clash that I would pay so much money to see. To be a fly on the wall in that writing room, for fuck's sake. But yeah, the Homestuck fandom has a bad reputation merely because of the conventions, because they used to paint themselves gray, stain things, touch other people's cosplays, be loud and rowdy, and But like, it's like kind of what happens whenever a fandom gets too massive. People do stupid shit. The same thing happens with Undertale and Deltarune. And it was huge. And the bigger a fandom, the louder the obnoxious people are. But yes, I do urge people to read the unofficial Homestuck collection if you can. The fandom is spreading it around like wildfire because they don't want it to become lost media just because Andrew Hussie had a moment. Or because Geo had a moment. We don't know. But the fact that all of this dropped the same day as a trailer is pretty fucking funny.
Toby paid to be the fly.
If Toby Fox is really voicing John Egbert, he gets a front row seat to the fucking shenanigans. Anyway, if you are a Homestuck fan and you've risen from the grave like I have, you're welcome to fucking look at all this. What do you guys think? Do you think that like what Geos is saying has any merit? Is it all allegations? Are we gonna wait for Andrew Hussie's statement? Who knows? Let me know in the comments, please, because this is genuinely fascinating information to me. I want to know what you guys think. Please fight your demons and fight your candy corn horn colored demons, please. Paint yourselves gray, not with Sharpie. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Go get yourself a plushie. We're 9 away from getting 200% funded, baby. Or go get some gamer subs. Get some troll blood to fucking drink. Just use code Kinkimation for 10% off, baby.